program studi strata 3 atau doktoral diantaranya S3 Manajemen Pendidikan, S3 Teknologi Pendidikan, dan S3 Pendidikan Dasar. Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan berupaya secara berkelanjutan dalam rangka peningkatan kualitas tridharma perguruan tinggi, diantaranya dengan peningkatan kualitas pembelajaran melalui gugus penjaminan mutu, baik di tingkat fakultas maupun prodi. Peningkatan kualitas sarana dan prasarana perkuliahan. Peningkatan kualitas layanan terhadap mahasiswa, peningkatan kemampuan dosen dan staf akademik, serta peningkatan kualitas administrasi, baik di tingkat prodi maupun fakultas. Peningkatan kualitas dosen melalui studi lanjut, baik dalam maupun luar negeri, juga dilaksanakan dengan optimal. Pada tahun 2021, terdapat 5 dosen yang baru menyelesaikan studi lanjutnya, baik di UNESA maupun di universitas ternama lainnya. Berbagai kegiatan pengembangan mahasiswa dilaksanakan guna mengasah kreativitas dan implementasi keilmuan pendidikan. Berbagai prestasi diraih mahasiswa FIP UNESA di kancah regional, nasional, maupun internasional. Sebagai bentuk penguatan kelembagaan dan pengembangan ilmu pendidikan, Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan UNESA memperlukan kerjasama dengan berbagai mitra, baik institusi pendidikan maupun dunia industri. Bukan hanya menjadi seorang pendidik dan tenaga pendidik profesional, lulusan FIP UNESA juga terserap di berbagai perusahaan, industri kreatif, dan media mainstream lainnya. Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan UNESA terus berupaya mewujudkan tujuan strategis kelembagaan dengan menghasilkan kinerja institusi yang efektif dan efisien dengan iklim akademik yang humanis, manajemen kelembagaan yang transparan, akuntabel, dan responsif.
Operator.
Mari bergabung bersama Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan Universitas Negeri Surabaya. Universitas Negeri
Cek, cek. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. The webinar is will shortly begin. So please to all of the participants to muted your audio and also prepare your notes. Ladies and gentlemen, to all of the participants, we also kindly remind you to rename yourselves using the following format: name underscore institution or class. So for everyone, for every participants here, please rename your account to name to this format. It's name underscore institution or class. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your presence. And don't forget to rename your account to name underscore institution or class. And also, please muted your audio. And also, don't forget, if you would like to face on the screen, you can on your camera. Thank you. Cek. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for everyone here from around the world. Welcome to the international webinar with the theme, Utilizing AI in Learning, Enhancing Engagement, Personalization, and Efficiency. This event is proudly organized by the undergraduate, master, and doctoral study programs of elementary education, Universitas Negeri Surabaya. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Lilpia, and today I will be serving as your Master of Ceremony for this international webinar. First of all, let us express our thankfulness to God the Almighty for His mercies and grace, enabling us to gather here today, even if only virtually. And we also truly honored to welcome our distinguished guests, keynote speakers, moderators, and participants from across Indonesia and around the world. Allow me to extend a special greeting to and warm appreciation to the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Education Universitas Negeri Surabaya, Dr. Budi Purwoko SPD MPD, the Head of Undergraduate Study Program of Elementary Teacher Education, Dr. Putri Rahmadianti SPD MPD. Thank you for your presence and continued support. And of course, we will also give a warmly welcome to our distinguished keynote speakers who have graciously joined us today to share their expertise. Every keynote speaker will provide us with insights into how AI can be harnessed to create more engaging, adaptive, and efficient educational experiences, paving the way for a smarter and more inclusive future learning. So here they are. We have Miss Melissa Arianto MPD from Institute Teknologi 10 November, Miss Charina Ayu PhD from Indonesian International Islamic University, and Mr. Don John Panizales Sodusta PhD from University of Philippines, Visayas. Thank you for your presence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to begin our webinar today, let us stand, if you are able, and listen to the national anthem Indonesia Raya, followed by the march of UNESA. Okay, see it again. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, next we will hear the opening and welcoming remarks from our honorable speakers. Please welcome the head of the undergraduate study program of elementary teacher education, Dr. Putri Rahmadianti, SPD MPD.
Thank you, Ibu Delvi. Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. The Honorable Academic Vice Dean Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Surabaya, Profesor Dr. Budi Purwoko. The Honorable Head of Doctoral Study Program, Elementary Education, Profesor Dr. Suryanti. Head of Master Study Program, Elementary Education, Ibu Neni Mariana, PhD. And also we are especially excited to welcome our distinguished keynote speakers, Mr. Don John Panizales Sodusta, PhD, from the University of Philippine Visayas. Ms. Melissa Arianto, MPD from Institute Teknologi 10 November, and Ms. Charina Ayu, PhD from Indonesian International Islamic University. Also, warm greeting to all the webinar participants who attended. My name is Putri Ahmadianti, Head of Elementary Teacher Education Program. It is truly a pleasure to welcome all of you to our international webinar on utilizing AI in learning, enhancing engagement, personalization, and efficiency. First and foremost, let us express our gratitude to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for the opportunity to gather here virtually with such students, alumni, and professionals from Universitas Negeri Surabaya and other places in Indonesia. This special event is proudly organized by three of program study, undergraduate study program of elementary teacher education, master study program of elementary education, and doctoral study program of elementary education at Universitas Negeri Surabaya. We are honored to host this international forum dedicated to exploring the transformative power of AI in education. Prof. Budi, also this event support Bulan Pendidikan 2025. Jadi ini merupakan salah satu rangkaian dari kegiatan Bulan Pendidikan yang dilaksanakan di bulan Mei 2025 ini, Prof. Budi. We are proud and grateful to all the keynote speakers who were willing to attend this event. We hope that this webinar will not only spark new ideas, but also encourage all of us to create more engaging, personalized, and efficient learning experiences for students in the era of artificial intelligence. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you to the super committee. Enjoy the webinar and let's grow and learn together. Jalan-jalan ke Taman Mini, jangan lupa membeli bunga mawar. Mari kita mulai webinar hari ini dengan ilmu dan semangat belajar. VIP handal, UNESA satu langkah di depan. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Dr. Putri for your insightful remarks. Now we will have the Dean of the Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Surabaya, and in this case will be represented by the Vice of Dean of Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Surabaya, Profesor Dr. Budi Purwoko, SPD MPD. The floor is yours.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all distinguished participants from across the globe. It is with great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all to this international webinar on utilizing IA in education. On behalf of the Faculty of Education, I extend my warmest greeting to our keynote speaker. The first, Ms. Melissa Arianto, MPD, from Institute Teknologi of 10 November. Second, Ms. Kalyana Ayu, PhD, from Indonesian International Islamic University. And the third, Mr. Doni John Panizel Sodusta, PhD, from the University of the Philippines, PIS. Panelists, moderator, and attendees from various institutions and nations. Artificial intelligence is no longer just a concept of the future. It is a present reality shaping the very fabric of our societies, including the way of teach and learn. As educators and researchers, we stand at the interaction of radiation and transformation. IA offers to us to personalize learning, enhance student engagement, support data-driven decision-making, and bridge educational gaps on an appreciated scale. However, these opportunities do not come without challenge. Issues of digital equity, equitable use, and privacy and readiness of both educators and learners must be addressed with tactful strategies and inclusive policies. Therefore, this webinar is not just a forum from technology, for technological advancement. It is a platform for critical reflection, collaboration, and shared vision. The Faculty of Education deeply committed to fostering innovation that is core in human values. We believe that IA should complement, not replace, the human touch that lies at the heart of meaningful education. Our role is to ensure that the next generation of educators is not only equipped with technological skill, but also with the ethical compass and adaptive mindset necessary for rapidly evolving worlds. I encourage all participants to actively engage, share insight, ask questions, and build network during this event. Let us learn from each other experience and perspective to shape an educational future that is smart, ethical, and inclusive. In closing, I would like to thank the organized committee, our partners, and all contributors for making this event possible. May this webinar inspire new ideas and each need meaningful action and your institution and some time. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much to Professor Budi. We truly appreciate your support in this academic event. And also to Dr. Putri and Professor Budi, thank you for officially opening today's event with such a valuable insight. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump to the first session, let's talk about AI for a second. So this theme highlights is the AI, is a contemporary and significant discussion in education. AI is one of the rapidly advancing technologies, from tailored to learning routes and to intelligent tutoring system and real-time feedback. AI is opening up new opportunities for educators and students. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin to the first session, I also remind you to change your background, to the virtual background that we have shared on the chat box. And please, again, change your username to name _ institution or class. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please also prepare your questions, and because every session it will be ended with questions and answer. And in our first sessions with Miss Melissa Arianto MPD, it would lead with Mr. Ulhak Juhdi SPD MPD. So I would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Ulhak Juhdi SPD MPD.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm directly on the screen. Mbak May, you have joined us in the Zoom meeting, but I cannot see you. Would you like to help me, the moderator, the operator, please? So I can see directly. I can see. We can see Ibu May, Miss Melissa Arianto from ETS. Okay, would you like to? I cannot see again. Ibu May Lisa from now I can see you, Ibu May. Thank you, Ibu May, for attend this international webinar. It's attended by undergraduate students, also postgraduate students, and also doctoral degree students from the primary education and also the basic education. They attend to join your materials. I hope you share because you are famous in ETS, and thank you for Ibu Yani, the head of the language centers that have made connections, so you can share your material in front of us. We have the title in here, utilizing artificial intelligence in learning, enhancing engagement, personalization, and efficiency. And before we start, I will read for you your curriculum vitae. Maybe Miss May, would you like to display your curriculum vitae? And I help you to read it. Okay. Miss Melissa Cindy Astika Arianto. She's the program coordinator. It's short CV actually. She's the PIC Writing Center International Forum Policy Formulation for AI Adaptation in 2024. And secondly, it's reviewers of a Scopus indexed journal and facilitator of Academic Writing Center in ETS, instructor of Global Language Center in ETS, and also TESOL, Teaching English as a Second Language, Global Professional Member, and awardee of Teaching Mail for English as Academic Purposes Classroom at Arizona State University, an online professional English network member, alumni, Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, Exchange Program, United States Department of State. And now, all the participants is ready hearing and sharing from Miss May. Now, without further ado, time is Miss Melissa Cindy Astika Arianto. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Ulhak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. A very good morning to all of us. Before I begin today's sharing sessions, I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to first and foremost who welcome us in this very morning, the Honorable Vice Dean of the Faculty of Education, UNESA, Professor Budi Purwoko, and the head of the study program of primary teacher education, Ibu Putri Rahmadianti. And also my special thanks to today's event committee for your hard work behind the scene in organizing this event, and especially to Bapak Ulhak, who has taken the role of moderating my sessions this morning. Thank you very much for inviting me in this morning. So the theme of today's webinar holds a very special place in my heart because in our university at ITS, we also try to build AI literacy and ethics awareness related to academic integrity and authorship when AI is used to generate ideas. And if you have questions related to this as well, I will be very much happy to answer it for you because this is my area of expertise that I deal with every day. But in the next few minutes, I'm going to focus my presentation on maintaining educator agency when using AI tool. And this is much more related to the ethical use of AI and how we can use it as a teacher.
Very
But before that,
because it's very connected, really connected, because we are my students for the candidate of the teachers. There are a candidate of the teachers, so there are educators someday. Thank you. Very relate. Thank you, Miss May.
Thank you, Walhak. I hope it relates to all of you. I know that some of you are educators, lecturers, graduate and undergraduate students. We will also talk about AI ethics that I'm sure you have used AI in your daily basis. So I have actually 3 questions that I hope you can answer on the Zoom chat. This is a very, very quick questions. And the first questions that I would like to know is, how often do you currently use AI tools? Any AI tools? Please answer it on a scale 1 to 5, 1 to say never, or 5 very often and you use it every day. So I hope I can see the answers on the Zoom chat. Oh, wow. 5. So many 5. For me, it's 5, miss. All right, great. 3. 4. So I guess no one here is skeptical on the AI. Yeah, everyone just use it. I also use it on my daily basis for basically writing my emails and to even make materials for me. So that's good to know. And my second question is, how often do you use AI to create or write materials or lesson plan for you. Any materials for your class, maybe, or lesson plan or or outline for your class. How often do you use AI to do that? 3, 4, 2. I guess you don't use it as much as maybe the first questions. Yeah, most of us might use AI nowadays for our productivity. Yeah. All right. Next questions. How confident are you in your ability to integrate AI tools into your future classroom? Scale 1 being not confident and 5 very confident. Which scale are you? Oh, 5. So many fives. That's great. 4, 5, around 4. That's great. I hope by the end of this webinar, you can increase this into very confident, because I think those two, the two amazing speakers, we also talk more about this. So I think we can learn so much today. Yeah. And so, by the way, thank you very much for participating in the questions. Yeah. And we're going to focus on the first sessions with AI in classroom as well as AI agents. Why? In some countries, schools have been using so many adaptive algorithms to tailor lessons to each student's pace and gaps. And you might want to imagine a classroom where no child is left behind, not because the teacher works harder, but because the AI also works smarter. And again, why do we care about this, right? As a teacher, educator, or maybe a curriculum developer, we try to help our students' success in their future world, right? Giving education is not about what we need now, but also what our students need in the future when they graduate. Who knows that maybe what you're learning today might evolve so much when you graduate, and that you have to learn so many things, so many skills when you graduate. And so, how would they compete with other people for jobs in the future? Not only competing with people, but later with AI itself, right? Maybe you have ever heard on a seminar or webinar talking if AI will replace your job as a teacher. Is this true? It might be true. So, having this awareness as a teacher, do you think you will teach your students the same way as you teach your students right now, or maybe 5 years ago? Because later on, or even now, students get informations nowadays is so much different than how we get information before. As a teacher before, we might not imagine our students as an empty glass, ready to fill anymore. Yeah. And I will put this into a scenario actually, so that you have a better understanding of what I'm saying. So let's think of a purpose of our whole general educations, and we might want to help our students to get a job in the future or to embrace in technology in the future. So our anticipatory thinking is what kind of skills do our students need in the future, not what kind of skills do our students need as of right now, but when they graduate, right? So how do we manifest it? Let's say I want my students to learn about this kind of literacy. This is not a definite future literacy. Just a disclaimer, this is not a definite future literacy that might be needed in the future, but this might still be relevant in the future. And let's say, for example, I want to use AI literacy, right, in my class. How do I help my students to learn about AI literacy since in the early age, for example? Well, I have to think about their age, right? You have to think about their age and maybe the prerequisite skills needed for your students to talk or to learn about AI literacy. And can we do that in elementary school? Absolutely. Because each literacy has their own stages. There's introductory stage, exploration stage, until the advanced stage. And we might want our students just to get exposed on it, maybe in grade 1 until 3, just to know about it. For example, you can provide maybe reading materials or pictures about AI for a lower level grade. In the case of my writing class, for example, in the university context, I usually use sample writing texts that I made with the help of AI about AI, about media information literacy, and then I ask them to draft a certain genre of text based on the context. That's what I usually do as writing in my writing class. And you can also use this Bloom's taxonomy. This is the revisited Bloom's taxonomy. I don't know if you have known this, but I think this is very famous in educations, right? And you can use this taxonomy to evaluate when and how AI can be used appropriately in learning. As you can see in this revisited taxonomy, you can see here, there is this AI capabilities and distinctive human skills, right? And if you see here, AI can do up to the highest level, which is create in a matter of minutes, not only minutes, in a matter of seconds, right? How about us human? Now, if we focus our learning only at a certain level, then we might have lost a big time with AI. In other countries, for example, teacher already use AI voice assistant for Q&A for this stage until understanding. So you can see that the teacher's role has shifted from the one who filled the empty glass with the one who should monitor the accuracy and the appropriateness of the AI that is used in class. Yeah. In the traditional method of teaching, or maybe some teachers in Indonesia still nowadays use it, we usually, it is all the teachers who fill the empty glasses of our students even until this create stage, right? But it might be not true in the future. So I want you to navigate yourself in this revised Bloom taxonomies, and if you and analyze. If you see here, you can see the analyze and apply. Yeah, and you will see what AI and humans are capable of. For example, in analyze, they can only compare and contrast data, but as a human, you can do more than that. You can build students' critical thinking, reasonings. You can have a problem solving or case-based study in your class to build your students' critical thinking. So this is a big time for us, and this Bloom taxonomy will be used in my entire presentation later on, so we will stick to that. And you can also Google this. This is everywhere in Google, the Bloom's taxonomy revisited. Yeah, try to navigate yourself and read all of this. And with this taxonomy in mind, I would like to explain a little bit about AI agent. Now, it's not, you might be familiar with AI, but nowadays, AI is getting even more complex, and we are in the age of AI agents. What is it actually? So if you see my screen here, yeah, an AI agent is a system or software programs that can collect informations, they can receive informations, they can make decisions, they can act, they can take actions to achieve specific goals, and they can learn from the mistakes, for example, of that act. And this is will be in the loopholes, yeah. And it sounds pretty much like what human can do, right? An example of this AI agent, such as robot assistants or automatic drone. And in education, it might be this one, an AI tutor, AI facilitator, or AI robots in educations. Yeah. So this AI agent has been used even now, not only for the purpose of individual learning, but also in class, which I will show you some of the examples. Yeah, I think you're familiar with Duolingo, right? Duolingo now has a chatbot. Yeah. There's also programs like Alex or Carnegie Learning that is for math and Alex for physics, if I'm not mistaken, which can customize your students' learning experience based on their mistakes. So if your students make mistakes, they can give them a personalized learning experience. They can give them like materials or any homework or worksheets that is based on their mistakes. And in China, if you see this on the right corner, they have Squirrel AI, which is an adaptive algorithm that they use to tailor their lessons to each student's pace and gaps. And even in elementary schools, they have been using this, right? So if this tool exists and helps students to learn better, how about us as a teacher? Isn't that why we're here? Who helps the teacher then? Of course, the teachers should learn. This is not a black and white situation where you can choose to use AI or not to use AI. So this is not a black and white situation. And I feel like teachers now is pushed to learn or use it with cautions. Yeah, because what AI produce might be biased or not 100% true, so you have to be careful. And I have a quote that I always tell myself here: you can't lead students. Oops, that one. You can't lead students toward growth if you stop walking the path yourself. So you have to learn the technology. All of us should learn the technology, otherwise, your students might overcome you, right? So some of us, when learning new technology, usually have this techno stress. Yeah, you become overwhelmed with everything and just maybe some of yours just stop learning. But I want to encourage you and say that learning can take differently for each individual, and I hope that we can continuously learn in our own pace. So now don't be techno stressed. Yeah. And don't be techno stressed, because I will give you some programs, yeah, or a system that might help you as a teacher. There you go. You can screenshot this. There are some AI tools that can help teacher to elevate your teaching career. Yeah, now. Why now? Because maybe this all of these programs will evolve much more in just few years. But from all of this, please don't get techno stressed. So many things. Do I have to learn all of that? No, of course not. You can choose. So you might have known ChatGPT. I'm sure that lecturers or students use ChatGPT, or maybe the Google version such as Gemini. Yeah, but there are also much more than that that is designed for teachers too. And we will not be talking about all of them because we have a very limited time. But I personally use Gamma to help me create my presentations. I also use ChatGPT for my daily basis tasks. And I have this AI called Cider AI, or it's like a chatbot that I integrate with my Google Chrome, and they help me to reply to my emails. And I also use this Magic Schools. This is great for teachers. This is also free, although you also can buy if you want. By the way, this is disclaimer. This is not a sponsored presentations. So yeah, with these tools, what does it mean for teachers, right? I'm going to take an example for what you can do with Magic School. With this tool, you can make countless creations. You can make rubrics. You can make worksheets. You can tailor your lesson plan for specific literacy skills that we have discussed earlier, like AI literacy, media information literacy, or maybe sustainability literacy. You can make so many lesson plans that is personalized based on your students. And they're automatic, fast. You can have them to make design or redesign something that have already existed in their database. But you have to be careful as well because as a human, you have to evaluate what they produce for you, right? And some of the example that you can do with Magic School are presentation generator, lesson plan. They can make you a lesson plan. When I was in university, I remember I make a lesson plan like so many pages manually without the help of AI because that was a time when AI is not that famous and used in university. But now, you can even make lesson plan, even the worksheet, even the rubric for you in a blink of an eye. Yeah. And with these tools, I also want you to position yourself as learners. Yeah, as learners as well. Why? I think I hope you still remember the Bloom's taxonomy that I have shown to you, right? And as learners, I want you as a teacher to position yourself as a learners and follow from the bottom stage, which is understanding. Remember understanding. Let's say that there are so many new literacy that you don't know that might be your textbook do not tell you all about it. You have to understand first before you ask the AI to make that lesson plan for you that integrate all of these literacy skills. That's your job. That's your homework. That's my homework as well. So let's say I'm going to show you an example of how ChatGPT can be used. I use ChatGPT because it is easy and everyone is easily have access on this. So let's say I'm starting to ask what is actually media and information literacy or MEALS, right? I'm not too familiar of that as a teacher, but the curriculum asked me to do that. The government asked me to make this into the classroom. So you have to learn about it. You can ask AI about it. And this is where, as a learners, you also in this stage understand, to remember. And moving on to the next one, you can ask the AI, how do I teach this? For example, for elementary students. This is where, as a teacher, you learn with AI to apply or to analyze. And this is very important to remember that you have to be skeptic with AI generated content. Do not trust them 100%. Yeah. Even the AI itself says that their generated content might be biased, right? And might not be true 100%. So you need to fact check this. There is an AI called Perplexity AI that can give you citations if needed. So you can fact check with different AI applications. You can also fact check with your book or other sources like primary sources in article journals. All right. So when I ask the AI, how do I teach this for elementary students? The AI will give me ideas of how I will teach MEAL or media information literacy to my elementary students. But my prompt, this is what we call prompt, the questions or the instructions that I give to the AI is called prompt. And this prompt is very general. You can add your student's grade or background to make it more focused. For example, how do I teach this for grade 5 elementary school student who have just learned about blah, blah, blah. You can make it more focused so that AI will make it more focused for you as well. Now, Let's say that the AI give me 1 until 10 options, and I analyze which option would benefit my students. And let's say I choose option number 5, then I ask them to make a lesson plan for me. Make a lesson plan related to this topic for 1 meeting. Again, this form is very general. You can add other details about your student's grade or background so that it is more personal for you. And then the AI will just make the lesson plan for me. You can also tell the AI to make a lesson plan based on several subcategories. Yeah, because I believe in Indonesia, what it looks like as a lesson plan in Indonesia might be different in other countries. What our lesson plan should look like might be different in other countries and other classes as well. So you might want to use this and be more specific. Yeah, this is where the AI create, and you help them to create based on your prompt, and you also have to evaluate this. Do not trust them 100%. Yeah, this is one example of how it looks like. A lesson breakdown. Let's say I ask them to make a lesson breakdown in my lesson plan, and they make it for me. And as a teacher, this is your stage to evaluate. Try to evaluate and make adjustment if needed. You can also ask AI with another prompt if you think that what they have produced for you is not detailed enough. And there's one thing that I want to focus on is that using AI ethically. You can also have this in Bahasa Indonesia. By the way, this is my example is in English, but you can have it in Bahasa Indonesia. But my note is if you use AI to make a lesson plan for research purposes or for publication purposes, whatever it is an expected thing that you can make a disclosure statement. Even for researcher, I think there are some researchers here, right? If you write a research in article journals and you want to publish them, they usually ask you to make a disclosure statement like this. This is just an example. But disclosure statement on the use of AI state what kind of AI do you use. So for example, in this lesson plan, I developed this with the help of ChatGPT 4.0. To what? What do you use ChatGPT for? Yeah, it states is basically telling your readers what kind of AI do you use, how do you use it, and you can add maybe in which part AI is used, and have you reviewed or edited the AI output. And the last one is the most important one, is that you take full responsibility of the final output. You take full responsibility of the final output. You cannot say that it's AI, that's not my mistakes. No, it's your responsibility to edit, to review what AI has produced for you. I think right now, if you make a thesis or dissertations, you also need to make this disclosure statement, right? I don't know if it happens as well at UNESA, but it happens here in my university. And for publication purposes as well, you have to make this disclosure statement. So if you make the lesson plan for the purpose of research or for the purpose of publications, or if you want to share it with people, a lot of people, don't forget to disclose how do you make them. Yeah, otherwise you might just tell them that you make this by yourself, but no, AI helps you to make this, right? That's a kind of integrity right there. I mentioned about magic schools before, and this is what it looks like if you use magic schools. You might want to answer this. Yeah, there are so many prompts here, additional criteria that you want to use. So it's almost the same as what ChatGPT has, but they have more rigorous criteria that you have to fill in so that they make a better lesson plan for you. Yeah, this is what it looks like in Magic Schools. And this is an AI prompt. The more, maybe the more details AI prompt for your ChatGPT or your for Gemini, you can add the detail for your subject topic, your grade level, your age group, and what their specific needs. But sometimes, because AI is still also in development, sometimes they might get confused if we give them too much instructions. So maybe you want to separate these instructions into two and see how it goes. Right? So yeah, this is the example. If you want to make it in Bahasa Indonesia, this is the disclosure statement. And yes, with this, the Bloom's taxonomy is not only for students, right? But it's also for you as a teachers. You might use this to direct your students' learning, whether you want them to be in a certain level of thinking based on their age and grade. But you should use this if you use AI. Yeah. AI can definitely use to help you climb this ladder faster. Yeah, not only for students. It can also help you to reduce your cognitive overload because as a teacher, you have so many administrative tasks as well, I believe. Yeah. So this allows teachers to better understand what you're doing, how to improve your work, and then use what we have learned in the new situations. And adaptive technology allows educators to offer dynamic, engaging content without much manual effort. But still, you have to be there. It's not tools to replace you. It's a tool, additional tools to help you. And with AI, you can also focus on being more than AI. Things that AI don't have, yeah. It can definitely help you with the administrative tasks. It can elevate your teaching if you don't want to sound more textbook oriented because maybe your textbook is not up to date. You can make the materials by yourself with the help of AI. It is also encourage your professional development as a teacher because remember we have to learn as well, otherwise we won't help our students to learn. And yeah, with this you can focus on other things. If, for example, you use AI in your classroom to make syllabus, to make lesson plans, to make the materials for you, to grade your students, you can focus on being more than AI, things that AI don't have. So I believe that teachers model their students, they teach respect. We teach responsibility, fairness, and kindness innate in our day-to-day interactions. And if you teach young children or elementary school children, means that you nurture their human relationships to develop their empathy, to develop their resilience, cooperations, and communication skills, which AI cannot replicate. AI cannot replicate how you care about them, their moral guidance, and that is why I believe that it's still in Indonesia, the role of a teacher is still needed if you want to teach Indonesian culture embedded in day-to-day interactions. So, oops, not that. So my point is, if you use AI to personalize your learning as a teacher, and also to elevate your teaching experience, then you can also try to develop other things that matters for your students. Yeah, because we're in the global era, and this cultural and global literacy takes also a form of skills and literacy in our class for our students. And there's one thing that I want to share with you. I think that's all about the use of AI in my presentations. to build your awareness of how to use AI ethically. And learning from my office in the Academic Writing Center, and also for a lot of you who are students here, there are AI policy that I should share with you. I don't know if NESA already has your AI policy, but these are some of the example of how university uh, in different countries would make policy based on this on their specific field. So again, this is not a black and white situation where you can use it or you cannot use it, right? Um, the example of something that you can read here: students are allowed to use AI, such as blah blah blah, on assignment in this course if permission is obtained in advance. Unless given permission to use those tools, a student is expected to complete the assignment without substantive assistance from others, including automated tools. So, for those who are lecturers, you might need to start having AI policy in your classroom. Otherwise, your students might fool you and say that this is their work while they're using AI. You can ask them to make a disclosure statement of how they use AI in their assignments. Yeah, and start the semester by telling them the policy in your class. This is another example of policy. You are discouraged from using AI tools unless under direct instruction from your instructor. So I believe in special field, you will be asked to use AI and it is permitted by lecturers. That's okay. And if it is permitted, an example here is given. You must indicate what part of the assignment was written by AI and what was written by you, so that your teachers know. We build trust among teachers, among lecturers and students, yeah? It also says, for example, no more than 25% of an assignment should be created with AI if the instructor gives permission for its use. So there is a threshold where it says that you can use AI, but not more than 25%. And this is usually directed to Turnitin AI. I know that you might have known Turnitin and also Authenticate, but they have their own version of Turnitin AI where they can give you a percentage of how much of that text is generated by AI. Like, for example, this one, 56% detected as AI. And you might want to use this as a lecturers because, as you know, a lot of your students earlier in the chat Zoom, they said they've been using AI for their classroom or to make materials or for their writing. So as a lecturers, you might want to also to use this. There's another options actually that is free. These are the examples. I think students can also use that. GPT-0, Zero GPT, copy leaks. So they basically also tells you how the percentage of using AI in your text. And I always use this in my writing class. Yeah, you can use Turnitin AI, which needs the entire university to subscribe in this, if I'm not mistaken. And then these are the free tools that you can use easily every day. I think a lot of students also now come up with the undetected AI. They try to make a text and put it in the undetected AI so that they will not sound like AI. And then and if we put it in the Turnitin AI, most of them will say it will be not 100% as AI. But this is something that you also have to,
We
yes?
will have a questions and answer with the participants.
Oh, yes. Can you let me like conclude this? Because this is like the last one.
Okay.
Yeah. So even if you use undetected AI, this AI generated similarity, not similarity, AI detected can still detect the AI languages. So be careful in using this. And these are some tools that you can screenshot for your own use if you want, if you're writing your research paper, because I'm working on this. And I always use this and tell this to my students. You can use all of these tools, all of these AI tools, not only AI tools, but some of the other tools that you can use during your writing process. So yeah, I think that's conclude my presentations. I'm sorry, maybe I took a few minutes off, but my questions for you and for your homework is, how would you help your students to grow? Remember, educators are gardeners of minds. Keep watering your own roots to help other people's bloom. I think that's all for me. If you have any questions, maybe you can put it on the chat box so we can read it. And I will give back the microphone to Paulhat.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss May. Very fabulous presentation. That's very beneficial to my students because they are candidate of teachers. Just I conclude some of your uh, very magnificent materials. The EI, they give new insight for the candidate of teachers. Some AI tools that help for teachers' career, like the Gamma, Tiny, and Hypotenuse and AI, Kamipot, and others. And although some of them don't believe them 100%, and we have the different taxonomy bloom. We have a new taxonomy bloom that the last phase, Miss May, that is create. That is create. Um, Please detect which is the true AI and which the made up or fake. First, student must analyze first before you create into your maybe your mini thesis or lessons plan on others. And still, you are the person in charge, the man behind the gun. The most important thing, don't blame the AI. Maybe you have not analyzed it first. Maybe you give more instructions or something else. But the moral value that we get here, that the man cannot be replaced, that AI can have the moral authority. They do not have emotional and social development, and although achievement and more others, that the human beings or you, the candidate of the teachers, the students, either you are undergrad, either you are postgrad, or your doctoral degree students, you are still the most important persons in doing your works. Now, we are giving the certificate of the appreciation. Now, uh, before we give the certificate, we still have questions and answer. The operator will guide us, which is the questions will be given to Miss May for his wow, very fabulous presentation, the materials. Which one, the
Thank you,
operator?
Paulhat.
The please, participants, maybe from the online. Oh, before there are questions answer, there is a certificate of appreciations proudly present to Miss Melissa Arianto as the keynote speakers. Please give maybe symbolical reactions like the applause from the screen. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Also, we have
Paulhat and the
also
committee.
here uh, some attendance in the studio. Maybe you want to have a questions. We still have Ibu Putri, the head of the primary education in an undergrad. Ibu Vivi or Mr. Ricky and others, please. The operator, please, the attendants, please, maybe you can write your questions in the Zoom chat. Okay, if you want to ask in Indonesian, I will help to translate. Do not worry. Miss Mel also from Indonesian. You know, she knows also Indonesian. Tidak apa-apa. Ditulis pakai bahasa Indonesia. Yang takut bahasa Inggrisnya salah ya. Sudah dipakai AI kok ya. Nggak apa-apa. Jangan khawatir ya. Nggak apa-apa. Silakan. Yang tanya terutama dari, yuk silakan. Ini yang dari YouTube juga ada. Miss May, maybe 100 participants in a Zoom. There are 200 persons, and also in the YouTube. Yeah, there is still nanti I will note the person who asked questions. Come on, from the international class, please. It's not the silent competitions. I know the material is fabulous, but you need to make a questions in here. Oh, hey, there is a questions. Morning, Miss Mary Lisa. I have a questions when I do. Aha, okay, Miss May. There is a first questions from Geraldi Ahsanitakwem. Thank you, Gerald. Okay, Miss May, maybe you can directly handle it. Thank you.
Mr. Geraldi Asanita Quim, thank you so much for the questions.
The undergraduate
Good
student,
morning.
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, good morning as well for you. I have a questions. When I do my research, still in proposal,
Okay.
I look at the reference that I will reuse as my research, for example, for research background, because I'm too scared to get it wrong. Plus, I need reference for some facts that I include in my research background. And the zero GPT thing thought I use an AI of it. Well,
Okay, Miss.
that's a very good question.
I have information from the head of the committee that we just only one questions only. So we have a chance. The one who only given the chance is only Geraldi Aksanitakim, because the other presenters, the other panelists will be continued. Miss May. Miss May, please continue.
All right, well noted, Pak Ohak. Yes, but when you want to reuse other people's idea, or when you use other people's idea, there are three things that you can do before you copy those idea into your text, yeah, so that it won't be regarded as AI. First, you have to you can do summarize, you can do direct quotations, and you can do paraphrase. Yeah, if either of these three have been used, then you need to give citations. Yeah, that's an ethical ways to do it. So it's not like we can copy and paste other people's idea into our text directly, but you can do one of the three. And the famous one is to rephrase. If you want to rephrase it, please rephrase it in your own words. Some of the students might use Quillbot or ChatGPT to help you rephrase your words, right? But the conclusion is that if you use ChatGPT or AI to rephrase it for you, there is a possibility that it will be detected as an AI. Of course, because you use AI to rephrase that for you. But if you use your own words, I'm sure that the threshold of that percentage will be lower if you use your own words, and the Indonesian, I don't know, the Indonesian language structure is so different than AI language structure. So it will decrease the chance of thinking that it is an AI. Yeah, so be careful in using someone else's idea. And also there are someone else idea might use AI as well to generate that idea or to generate a rephrase those ideas. So be careful. And the use a zero GPT thing thought I use an AI of it. Yes, when you use zero GPT or AI Turnitin, this is still in development. Yeah, this we're not sure. There's so many uncertainty with this kind of tool, so you have to use it carefully. Why? Because what they detect is the AI language. Let's say that you have made it from Bahasa Indonesia, you made it by yourself, you think about it by yourself, but then you put it into an AI, into ChatGPT, and ask them to translate it for you. Of course, it will detect it as an AI generated content because basically uh, they they think the language is AI language. What you can do in the prompt is maybe if you want to edit the idea is edit the grammar errors of this idea but let the structure intact. That will lower um, that will certainly lower your chance of getting judged as 100% AI, right? So that's what you can do. But yes, I will also say there's so many uncertainty in using even this AI because it's still developing and you have to be careful in using them. I hope it answers your questions.
That's all, Gerald. You still have not get all from the AI, but you need to paraphrase it, not the ideas. AI, not only 100%, and you copied it to your words. It's prohibited, and you will be generated by plagiarism at that time. Um, Ibu Melissa, once more, the time, because this time is limited. Thank you for fabulous materials once more. I'm one of the moderator. Thank you for giving the presentations. Thank you, Miss May.
Thank you so much, all the committee and also Paul Haq for inviting me. It's truly an honor and thank you so much for having me, everyone.
We are honored to having you as the presenters, the first presenters. Miss May, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul Haq and everyone.
Okay, thank you so much to Ms. Melissa Arianto MPD, such an enriching discussion. And also to our moderator, Mr. Ulhak Judi SPD MPD, it was really insightful. And to all participants, please do not leave the virtual room just yet. And I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce the moderator. It's Mr. Ulhak, is one of our teacher in elementary school education. It's such a clever and honorable teacher, and he is my senior as well. He's from Surabaya, and he also finished his undergraduate master's degree and also now doctoral degree in Universitas Negeri Surabaya. One of his research that is eye-catching for me is pengaruh Nemo Games dalam meningkatkan kosakata bahasa Inggris kelas 4 SD Lab School. Thank you so much, Mr. Ulhak. And of course to Mrs. Melissa Arianto, this today first session, it's very incredible session as I also write it. It's so much knowledge and it's so much knowledge I guess I have already get from Miss Melissa Arianto. Thank you so much. Now, let us jump to next session. Our next speaker is Dr. Charina Ayu. And to guide this session, please welcome our moderator, Mrs. Marita De La Rosa, MA, PhD. But I won't forget again, I have to introduce our moderator today, our second session moderator. She is born in Kediri. She is my senior as well, Mrs. Marita De La Rosa. She finished her undergraduated in Universitas Negeri Surabaya, and then she finished her master and doctoral degree in Ohio State University. What an incredible achievement. And she has a postdoc in Indonesian International Islamic University. Please welcome Mrs. Marita de la Rosa. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ibu Delphi, for lovely introductions. So now let's move on to the second sessions. My name is Marita. I'm one of the faculty members here at the Faculty of Education. So it's really interesting, you know. I know like it's a smooth transitions between the first and the second speaker, because Ms. Melisha mentions about how you know that AI can be replaced. How the cultural aspects and feelings can't be replaced by the artificial intelligence, you know. And today's keynote speaker will highlight how empathy is not a luxury but a necessity in the age of AI. So our speaker will explore how educators should integrate and ensure that technology support, not replace, quote unquote, the human connections at the heart of educations. So let me introduce to you all our second lovely speaker, Charina Ayu PSC, or we call it Dr. Charina. She's an expert on empathy, and she has received national and international grants such as Australian Awards Indonesia, and another one is Ministry of Education and Culture. Her research highlights the significance of empathy in both formal and non-formal educations that include family, from early to higher educations. So drawing on current research on classroom realities, Dr. Chalina will share insights into how empathy can be preserved through intentional designs, reflective teaching practices, and how the role of the teachers is redefined, in which empathy becomes the guidance principle that ensure learning remain personal, ethical, and human. So without further ado, Dr. Charina, hi. I hope you're doing fine. So feel free to start when you are ready.
Is my voice clear, audible, Dr. Mareta?
Yes.
Okay, because I do not use earphone. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor for me and a big pleasure to be invited in the international webinar held by UNESA. And also, I would like to express my deepest gratitude for the dean, the head of study program, the organizing committee, the lecturers, and also the audiences. Thank you so much for having me today. And as Dr. Mareta introduced me, my name is Charina Ayu. You can call me Cherry. It will make you easier since probably some of you are not familiar with, like spelling Charina is a bit difficult. So my background is a psychology. Today's topic, to be honest, this is very insightful. And thank you so much for Ibu Melissa for the very also insightful topic, because I learned a lot from your presentations, and probably like I would like to contact you in a person to ask more about like this kind of issue. Okay, so today continuing what what Ibu Melissa just presented, I would like to dig deeper about what will happen when we are, like in the age of AI, and what happened with the human connection next. Therefore, I would like to elaborate more about my topic, because this is my not only my interest, but I think this will be vital or a term that everyone should know when they are having interaction with AI. So my topic today is about empathy in the age of AI, humanizing learning in classroom. So having discussion about the way we are working with AI in learning should things there are so many questions come up. I'm trying to formulate the main question and also divide it into three specific questions. Just like what I mentioned in the very beginning. Big question is what happens to the human connection when we are dealing with AI on our daily basis, and then can AI ever truly understand human emotions, or is it simply mimicking patterns of such emotion? Of course, I do believe that all of you up until now still believe that the teacher's role, the counselor's roles, or the psychologist will not be replaced by AI. But to be honest, I also believe some of us, we ask to AI not only about our class at school or at work, but we also talking or sharing our personal issues, is it? And the way AI respond is so constant, like it can be a calming, it can motivate us, really, really, encouraging. And probably some of you never get that kind of response from human being, yeah. And the second one is, can reliance on AI for managing behavior or assessing emotion reduce a teacher's ability to deeply understand their students? If everything already replaced by AI, so what is teacher's role? Ibu Melissa already explained about that. The teacher's role actually have been shifted. So what next? What kind of changing that can be replaced by AI? And the last one, how can teachers ensure that human connection remains central when AI is used to support learning? I think this is the very, the main question that have, pop up in our minds. So, continuing these questions, I would like to describe a little bit about our interaction with AI. I put it here that about the AI. Yeah. As we know that previously, we might consider that the role of AI actually is helping our, like as the learning assistants. It's one of the tools that can help us getting more easier to accomplish our tasks. Turn out, if we take a, like little reflection about this interaction, I think the interaction now is getting intense. We interact with AI on our daily basis, so we can conclude that the interaction between AI and us, or AI and me in particular, already goes beyond the initial purpose, that is AI as a tool. So AI is no longer as a tool, but it can be our companionship. And whether you are realize or not, that we are getting more attached. We are getting more attached to the AI. And then in psychology, the concept of attachment, it's kind of very serious thing, because attachment is a basic foundation in the relationship. See? So I would like to share about the, like a little story about, let's say the 5th grade students, when this boy is offered by, like by an adult, whether he would like to choose either teachers or AI that can help him to do his homework. And you know what? Some of them said AI is better to help them accomplish the homework. So what is the reason? The reason is very interesting because it is not only about the accuracy, just like Dr. Melissa said that to some extent AI made mistake. So we have to give very precise prompts. Those AI can follow what we want. Thus, it is not only about the accuracy, but the boy said, because AI, they don't judge. When he said that AI don't judge or AI doesn't judge, it sounds there is a trust in that kind of interaction. This is very important because in psychology, when we learn human development of lifespan development, trust is the thing that necessary to be accomplished in the very stage of life. That is when we were still a baby or in the infancy stage. Therefore, we can call that trust actually is a basic attachment. And talking about the basic attachment, it is not only formed by biological foundation. Another theory, that John Bowlby theory, which talk about the attachment theory, said that there are so many criteria which can form attachment. Some of them is the responsiveness and repeated interaction. And we know that our interaction with AI nowadays, just I said, is getting intense. And yeah, it can be happen under certain condition. So you can check about your interaction with AI on a daily basis. So in my condition, I found that there are many adolescents or yeah, let's say the students, they are, like they prefer to turn to AI. For example, like Chat GPT, yeah, smart assistants. In a moment, they feel loneliness or anxiety or distress because it is kind that AI just look like safe haven for them. And another individuals might report that when they are detached from AI, there will be certain negative emotions are following, like sadness, and then, like not motivated. And we can call it is kind of separation distress. Yeah, they report feelings of loss, like sadness, loss, or even yeah, those kind of negative emotion, while the AI companion is removed or deleted. So you can check yours. Are you experiencing that kind of conditions? Because yeah, it will detect to how intense actually our interaction with AI. Another thing, in the beginning, this kind of interaction, is kind of fascinating, right? Turns out it gets creepy because we know that AI know us well, probably rather than our family, if we give them or provide them informations, right? We can talk to AI because we have trust on it and believe that they are not going to spill the informations. Of course, now we already know that, yeah, that kind of data is very, like vulnerable to be spread. But how about the children? When the children is having interaction intensively with AI and they spill every data without any parents' control, so that will be another issue. Turn out that yeah, to some extent, what we learned that AI not only showing IQ, because talking about IQ, as I mentioned, they can make some errors. Right? It depends on the prompts that we share. But AI also share the emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. We can see from the key architectural movement, like what the boy said, that AI doesn't judge, AI is set up to listen attentively, AI is ease of access, we can have any interaction with AI like 24/7. And it will not be happening when you are texting your lectures. They are not, like, they cannot provide the time like 24/7. And of course, AI provides help to make sense of things. We have an idea, so like Mr. Gerard said, we have so many ideas, and then we need to clarify the idea. AI helps a lot to make sense of things, to make sense of what ideas that we have. It's very, interesting for me. And that's why the role of AI, which begin from the assistant, and then now it can be the counselor as well. Yeah. So, surprisingly, AI adopt the term empathy in the development of their system to decode the pattern of algorithm. What is actually AI doing with empathy? What AI try to adopt the empathy term, actually, they are trying to learn human emotion. So there are two types of, emotional technology based on AI. We can call it, the first one is computational empathy, and the second one is artificial empathy. Talking about computational empathy is like when, like teaching a computer how to recognize and study emotions. They are learning humans feeling with code. They are using algorithm to detect human emotion by analyzing facial expressions, voice of tone, or text. These three things should be matched to each other. For example, when you are testing very slow, and then your voice also, has a low tone, and your face is frowning. So AI, the computational empathy, will detect this kind of, texting, voice, and face. They are matched. They are showing a negative emotions, and the AI detect this is what we call accept. And it is also happens when they decode, the AI try to decode the happiness or fearness or anxiety. In other words, computational empathy, this is how AI learning human feeling by these three things: face expression, voice of tone, and text. But then when it comes to artificial empathy, after this artificial empathy, after AI already received this emotion, sad, so artificial empathy, or the AI, try to respond in the human-like way. They give a, human touch, yes? Acting like it cares with code, exhibiting empathy like behavior. It's only mimicking, because AI actually only read the pattern. They do not have feelings, and we all know that. So it focuses on how machine communicate or behave empathetically. For example, when we are trying to, sharing our thoughts or our feelings to AI, we might say that, why currently I feel lonely since my friend make a distance of me. So there is a word there, lonely, a distance, yeah. And then, in some, you are feeling, you are having, feel loneliness at that time. And AI trying to get the code, because you are texting slowly, or probably when you are trying to use audio, your voice is low, the tone is low, and then the AI will respond, you are not alone, I'm here for you. It's so calming, right? Because if I'm trying to check, when I try to interact with AI, and for example, like I ask some questions, one questions, and AI will respond me, oh, very great questions. That's very critical questions. Very encouraging. Okay? That's why it can make like justification why the fifth grade students, which I mentioned before, choose AI rather than the teachers, since he feels that the teacher might judge him. To conclude, how to differentiate between computational empathy and artificial empathy, that computational empathy detects human emotion through the pattern of data or algorithm, but artificial empathy responds the emotion of the users with a sense of human touch. Again, they just pretending that they can, because actually they can't. So, yeah, I give very simple examples, not examples, but very simple understanding about how to differentiate between empathy, sympathy, and compassion. Since I found so many people still having misinterpretation about these three things. Empathy refers to I feel with you, I am with you. The position is equal, supposed to be equal. But in sympathy, I feel for you. What does it mean, I feel for you? So I know your condition. Your condition is, like probably is, like lower than me. You are having misfortunate, and then it feels kind of judgment that my life is better than. That is what we call as sympathy. That is judgment. While in compassion is kind of intention that we want to help others. I want to help you. That's why I can say that the AI prefer to adopt the empathy term rather than sympathy and compassion, because the designer of AI would like to like to ensure the position between us. Actually, we feel the same thing. See, there is no judgment there. I took one definition that I usually use to do my research, that is from Jolliffe and Paddington, about empathy. What is empathy actually when we are trying to make it more scientific? Empathy is a construct which consists of two dimensions: affective, that is resonate or experience others' feeling, and then cognitive, or understand the emotion of others. And this concept widely accepted in human-centered design. So this definition actually embracing four basic emotion, that is sadness, happiness, fear, and the last one is anger. Until now, so many scholars, there are some scholars which against empathy. For example, like you can read the article from Paul Bloom. He is really against empathy, and he concludes that we better off without empathy, because he considered that having empathy is kind of weaknesses. We are easily to get trapped in other emotion, and we are going to be overwhelmed, and then we are, we end up without nothing. Yeah. And then moreover, we end up with our stress. We see someone stressed, and then we end up with that kind of the same feeling as well. Therefore, in so many definitions of empathy, I would like to take you a little bit to see where the empathy term is coming from. In the 1990s, there was German psychologist Theodor Lipps. He coined the concept of Einfühlung. Einfühlung means in feeling or feeling into. This is very interesting for me, because empathy originally coming from the how people can feel the soul of in a work in a work of art, you know, tentang seni, about art. For example, when you see a picture that there is a man sitting alone in the middle of the crowd, and you just see the picture, right? But then that kind of feeling is contagious. You can feel that, why do I feel that I am lonely as well? You just see the pictures and that feeling is contagious. And later, after the empathy or enfolio, it was for enfolio, feeling into this for the work of art. Later, the Kitchener, he made the English adaptation and expanded into the meaning, feeling one's way into the experience of another. But what I love the most about the definition of empathy, which I think it is very comprehensive, that is from one of the clinicians that is called Rogers. He's very famous in the field of psychology. He said that actually the definition is quite the same, but he ended up with the phrase, the way we feel or understand others' point of view or feeling, he said, as if one were the person, but without ever losing the as if condition. So I highlight that as if condition. What does it mean by as if condition? Talking about as if conditions mean that you try to enter the emotional work of another person, but you never lose your own self. You never lose your identity. Yeah? You don't become them, but you just try to walk with them. You stay grounded in your identity while you are trying to deeply understanding this. There is an author, her name is Barbara A. Lewis. She make a very beautiful analogy about empathy, that without ever losing the as if condition. So she said that, let's say, when we shout from a hilltop, sometimes our words become, like coming back to us as an echo, right? What is the echo? Echo means that we hear the same words that we shouted, but they are not as loud because it is getting lower, the tone is getting lower. So empathy is like an echo. You don't add to what someone's feeling, you don't change the feelings, you accept and share to them in a softer way. Because it is almost impossible to understand or to precisely understand what someone is feeling. So let's make it more concrete, very simple thing. When you go to orphanage, ke rumah sakit, ke rumah anak-anak yang tidak punya orang tua, to the orphanage, you make an activity, for example, that you read aloud a book. Among so many books, you will not read the book about happy family because you know they don't have one. Or maybe when you found that your friends is having, like an experience of grieving because the father's passed away, you don't say like, sabar, it will pass. No, you just reassure them that you are there, you are with them. Therefore, the as if condition is really important. Without as if condition, we will lose our objectivity. Yeah, this is the thing that we maintain our emotion, so we will not fall into emotion, like over identification. When we are already in the objective situations, the next, we can show our compassion. What can I help for you? Of course, in a very precise way. Yeah. Okay, I would like to dig deeper into this question. So, whether empathy in AI, is it real? So many studies, for example, I study from MIT, this is the latest one. Although AI can mimic certain aspects of human interaction, it lacks the ability to truly understand the emotional context behind words and actions. And while AI can simulate empathy, it often falls short in contexts requiring deep emotional connection, such as counseling. Turn out the fact that we found so many of us trying to have counseling to the AI, yeah, because in a certain conditions. Therefore, in areas requiring deep emotional support, human empathy remains irreplaceable, and it will happen also in the classroom setting. So, for example, when teacher in the classroom asked the student to do presentations, and the teacher found there are some students who are very nervous, and the teacher might think that if the teachers try to utilize what empathy is, the teacher might think that, oh yeah, she must be very nervous. And I also have been there. I've been there as well. So I'm here to support that. Having that kind of experience and try to put themselves in that kind of conditions. But how if the teachers do not utilize or do not show empathy? It can be like, oh my God, it's going to be very awful because the student is, like looks so nervous and everything will be messed up. But the teachers will fall into negative predictions.
And for the reminder, like the time is about 5 more minutes.
Okay, all right. So I think I would like to say that what we need to do in the classroom setting, as we know that classroom is full of human beings with their own stories, loss and losses. Therefore, here I would like to share what can teachers doing when they are having, like teaching practice in classroom. Of course, this kind of cognitive and affective, like how to understand students' feeling, and the affective, how to feel their experience, it will come up with the teacher-student interaction. This is the thing that actually cannot be replaced by the AI. Therefore, why empathy is needed in teaching practice? Of course, based on the, please allow me to read this for like a minute, Dr. Nareta. I would like to emphasize about the enhancing engagement, personalization, and efficiency, just like our topic today. This is based on the research example, like Bingham and Sidorkin, 2004. It stated that there is a student named Julie. He said that it is very unfortunate if, as seems to be the case, she ended up being disengaged from the subject matter of the course simply because her teachers was not empathetic, and it refers to the enhancing engagement. Disengage from what the teachers, what the activity in the classroom. And the Gide extended that the relationship between teachers' empathy and their teaching ability is linked to the classical notion that a teacher cannot properly instruct pupils without knowing them well. This is what we call as personalization. And the last one is talking about the efficiency. Cooper mentioned that listening alone is not enough. They must also provide the scaffolding. In Vygotsky theory, talking about the strategy, like utilizing scaffolding, it is actually very helpful. So the teachers between teachers and student interaction can get the goal together. And I think I would like to conclude that AI enhances learning but can't replace empathy. And in classroom setting, connection comes before content. It happens especially when you are teaching the elementary school. And therefore, I would like to emphasize again that we all know that education is not just about science and knowledge, but also about nurturing human being. And it is empathy, which actually lies at the heart of meaningful human connection. Thank you. I'm giving back to Dr. Marita as a moderator.
Okay, thank you so much for the insightful presentations, Dr. Charina. So it's time for questions and answer. Please feel free to unmute yourself, raise hands, or type your questions in the chat box. So I really appreciate how you highlight like another aspect of, when we use AI, especially we know like when you mentioned on the habit of using it, because like almost every day the use of AI in our daily life, including teachings. So, well, it's really helpful, you know, the aspect of empathy that can't be separated by using AI. So, yeah, if participants here have any questions, um, I know there are some of my students here with really cute avatar. So feel free if you have any questions, concern, comments. Okay, we have one comment from Siva. I can read it. I feel more secure sharing personal thoughts and feelings because I believe AI won't share them with others or evaluate them negatively. And since AI doesn't judge, it makes me feel more comfortable. Although it's also true that AI sometimes makes me feel insecure about my own abilities. This often leads to overthinking as well. How to overcome this?
Okay, thank you, Shifa. Shifa is my PhD students. Okay, thank you so much for the questions. Very great questions. Yeah, talking about how to not overthinking as well. That's why I try to emphasize when we are dealing with the AI on our daily basis that human connection should be there. Yeah, even though we are, like very, like having interaction with AI, it makes us to some extent feeling secure because no one knows about their condition. Actually, AI knows. Still, human connection should be there. Yeah, the interaction. Do not detach from this kind of companionship because, yeah, even though let's say for some people it is very hard to get engaged in the new situations, yeah, probably, or they can call them as an introvert person. Having interaction with AI is very, very like the happiness thing, the happy things that they can do. Again, I do believe that in every stage of life, time to, having a true or genuine interaction is needed. So to sum up that, I would say, yes, you still can talk to AI, but like Dr. Melissa said, don't trust AI 100%, and please maintain the human connection between your family and also between your friends. So you will not having like overwhelmed or, like overthinking about other situation that you might feel that it kind of, a challenge for you to cope with. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Another questions because we have little more minutes. From Arfares Manita, in what ways can we educate AI developers to prioritize empathy in their project, especially given the fast-paced nature of technological advancements? So we do not we educate the developers, not the AI.
Thank you, Ms. Arfares. Very good questions. Like what I think it has to be created through those who understand or whoever learned about what empathy is. Just like what I did in 2021 that Dr. Mareta already mentioned, I was developing not an app, it's like a web. Ayo berempati. The phenomenon that I highlighted at that time is about the bullying situations, bullying case. So I'm trying to educate the people, especially the students, about why empathy is needed. Yeah. So if you ask me, in what way can we educate AI developers? Of course, it should be coming from us who knows that human connection should be maintained. Otherwise, we will lose everything we have, and then we just highly dependent on AI. Just imagine if all of a sudden, like AI is diminished. So what can we do? There is nothing we can do because we're highly dependent on AI. From the very, like technical things, asking about so many, like trivial questions, until we disclose our personal issues. See? And then we don't know what the future might be. AI can be, like developing, or maybe it will be replaced with another things which we cannot imagine right now. So that's my answer about how to educate AI developers. Try to make sure then that human connection needs to be there again. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I do agree with that. So maybe you could share the resources, the helpful resources that you develop. You know, that you mentioned about the website. I believe that that will be helpful for all the participants here, especially they are most of them are pre-service teachers. So yeah, as a form of appreciations, we would like to give Dr. Charina a certificate. Please, Pak Ali, to show it on the screen. Yeah, we are waiting for the certificates, giving the e-certificates to Dr. Charina online. I will send it, the file to you.
No worries.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Charina. We are happy to have you here in the webinar, and thank you for showing us thorough references, on your slides.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. So I leave the Zoom. Right.
Yeah, so I will give back to Ibu Delphi.
Hello. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Charina.
Thank you.
It's such a wonderful session engagement. It reminds me to Terminator movie. We see human with no humanity, but we see AI with the sense of humanity. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful session. And thank you also to Mrs. Marita de la Rosa, MA PhD, for lead this session. And ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us as we arrive to our third and final sessions of today's webinar. The speaker for this session is from Philippines. It's Dr. Don John Panizales Sodusta. I hope I spelled it correctly. From the University of Philippines, Visayas. And to lead this session, please welcome our moderator, Mr. Ricky Setiawan, SPD SDM ED. Please give us applause. Thank you to Mrs. Mareta. So, hello, Mr. Don John. And Mr. Ricky Setiawan is born in Medan. He finished his master's degree in National Donghua University. One of his research is about studi survei kepuasan mahasiswa terhadap program international FIP. Kemudian, and then the most catching eye research is studi survei resiliensi dan kebahagiaan mahasiswa asing di Indonesia dan Taiwan. Thank you so much, Mr. Ricky Setiawan. Ni hao.
Ni hao, ni hao. Thank you very much, MC, for introducing me. Yes, so thank you for the introduction. Yes, I'm graduated from National Donghua University, Taiwan, and here is my friend, Mr. DJ, also graduated from the same university, National Donghua University in Taiwan. Hi DJ, how are you?
Halo, terima kasih. Selamat pagi. Thank you for having me here. And yeah, it's difficult to say no to your friends. So, so I'm here, and again, thank you so much for this opportunity. Maybe I'll let you take over first and do the preliminaries before I actually start.
Yes, thank you, DJ. I'm so happy. I'm so glad to see you today. It's 11 a.m. here in Surabaya, and I believe it is 12 now in the Philippines. It's
Yeah.
already noon there. So, ladies and gentlemen, all participants, before we proceed to the main agenda and also the last session for today's session, allow me to introduce all of you about our last keynote speakers. So, I will just read it actually here. So, Doni Zon Panizales Sodusta. We know him as Teacher Doni or Kuya Doni. I call him always like Brother DJ. He is an assistant professor of education at the Division of Professional Education, College of Arts and Sciences, University of the Philippines, Visayas. So he teaches social studies and research courses at the University of Philippines, Visayas Graduate School, and also at the UP High School in Iloilo. It's one of the 4 laboratory and experimental high school of the university. So I just know it today, DJ, and since now I'm in the charge of the academy and students affairs in our laboratory school of UNESA, perhaps we can do further collaboration regarding this laboratory and experimental high school program. So he's also the assistant project manager of the University of the Philippines Visayas Action Research Project. His research interests and public service projects are on indigenous people's education, critical multicultural education, social movements in relation to education, and self-service learning. He has been involved in pre-service and in-service training projects for Filipino teachers and similar initiatives in basic and higher education institutions in the Philippines and abroad. He obtained his PhD at the National Donghua University in Taiwan, the same like my university, as a Taiwan Elite Postgraduate Fellow, while also serving as a postgraduate assistant in the 2 vertically integrated project courses on communicative English, and as a research assistant in 3 funded studies on higher education internationalization by the Taiwan Ministry of Science and Technology. And the most important and the most amazing is his doctoral dissertation was selected for the 2023 Distinguished Dissertation Group Prize by the Taiwan Association of Social Education. So without waiting for any longer, DJ, the next 30 minutes will be your time for the presentation, and after that we will have the Q&A sessions. So DJ, time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, brother Ricky. Mas, is my audio clear?
It is perfectly clear.
Okay, good. Thank you. Because the internet in the Philippines is very unstable, so please allow me to just use the regular background here in my office. So, mabuhay. Salamat pagi. Thank you very much to UNESA for this very rare opportunity. But I'd like to say that this is not my first time in UNESA. So I have been in UNESA before, but I think this is in their campus in Surabaya City, in the downtown Surabaya City. So this has been many years ago, and hopefully I can visit Surabaya again, especially UNESA and the 2 campuses this time. So I could not say no to, yes, I'm sure you're familiar with this picture. We took this in
We are waiting
2018.
for you to visit UNESA again, and I believe the picture is in 2018
True.
when I still had my hairs.
Yeah, say so hopefully we can have more collaborations between Indonesia and the Philippines next time, especially beyond research. I know that we have a research collaboration now with coastal community schools, but perhaps we can expand that to a more institutional one. But I digress. So I could not say no to friends, especially with friends who are deeply committed to coming up with impactful activities for their part in their part of Southeast Asia. And from your fellow Southeast Asian here in the Philippines, we are embracing you, and we are thankful that you are with us in this journey of coming up with an ASEAN brand of pedagogy and ASEAN brand of teaching and learning. And so for my topic outline, I'll be looking into first I'd like to introduce our laboratory school context because that is where I will be taking a lot of the insights that I will be sharing about how we navigate AI, which is still very new to us. And I'd like to share some data about the current research that I do inside my classroom because remember, I'm in a laboratory high school. Our students are not just regular students. We have to test innovative strategies with them, and that's part of teacher education in our university at the University of the Philippines, and especially in our campus in Visayas. And of course, I'd like to emphasize later on how can the teacher leverage technology in whatever they do. And maybe just a disclaimer, I am an elder millennial. So I was not born in the digital age. I was born in the analog age. So I am not what you would be your current students now at UNESA. I think they are digital natives. Compared to me, I'm a digital migrant. So later on, let me just also share some possible challenges and opportunities for all of us across Southeast Asia and many schools and many classrooms in Southeast Asia. So just a basic context, I am teaching at the University of the Philippines system. The University of the Philippines has 7 constituent universities scattered all around the Philippines. If you can see the map, there is a map there that says UP Visayas. That is my area in the Philippines. So I'm not in Manila. It's very crowded, but I am in UP Visayas. And UP Visayas is one of the campuses of the university that has a basic education system. And we have an experimental high school or a laboratory high school. And I'm also teaching there, aside from teaching at the graduate school. And so a lot of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you are taken from the classes I'm teaching this semester. So I will be sharing with you the kind of approach that I do and some of the very basic data that I have generated from the insights. If you have questions later on about why this approach and why this kind of approach for studying classrooms, well, you can raise them later on, but I'd just like to, by the way, these are some of my students. And if you would notice, there is a picture with they are wearing white and they are wearing formal dresses and the formal Filipino wear. That is their graduation. So when you graduate from the University of the Philippines, even in the high school program, you get to wear the sash because here in the Philippines, it's very warm during graduation. So we change from, or we get rid of the toga and we just have the sablay, which is the indigenous word to hang. To sablay is to hang. So a lot of these are the things that I'm sharing with you are from my students, are from the insights of my students. So what I did was that I conducted what we call a rapid ethnography assessment into my students' use of AI in all of the classes I'm teaching at the laboratory school this semester and from the previous semester. And why did I use that? Because my background actually is that I am a sociologist and anthropologist of education. So I use tools in sociology and anthropology to study education. And I'm so happy that we are a diverse group of panel this morning. So we have a language teacher who's very good in using technology. We also have a professor from Indonesia, Dr. Sharina, who's very good in the field of psychology research in understanding how we behave and why we behave certain way. But in my case, I am from a multicultural perspective. And usually my work is to understand why people do stuff. And we want to understand it from the point of view of culture. And so a lot of the work that I did before was field work research in Eastern Taiwan. In Eastern Taiwan, they have schools that are indigenous, and so they are multilingual. So they have their indigenous language, they have Chinese, and they also have English. So it's like a trilingual kind of approach to kind of education that they have. And course, I've gone through a lot of field work. So field work is something that I love to do. And sometimes even if I am in my regular classroom, I try to do field work as well. And that is why I have ethnography. So what is this kind of ethnography? The goal of rapid ethnography assessment is to understand what a culture is from the insider's perspective, which means that for you, current teachers or current lecturers or current professors, and for our pre-service teachers, especially those who will become student teachers, this is an invitation for you to also conduct a sort of rapid ethnography to understand the classrooms where you are. So we want to gather information within a very short span of time. And this is some of the practices that we do in order to understand the cultural context of our classrooms. And so when I gathered the data, I was able to cluster the kind of tools, online tools that my students are using in their many classrooms and their many activities and many school requirements in the university and in the laboratory high school. So we cluster them into two. So the usual ones here in the first cluster, you can see the Google Scholar, then we have Google and the entire Google workspace. So you have your Google Sheets, your Google Documents, your Google Forms, your Google Drives, etc. So on the other side, you have other kinds of online tools. Usually these are Scribr or Grammarly or Killbot or ChatGPT or APA article citation machines that create your citations for you, or Perplexity or YouTube Summarizer, or in Grammarly, of course. So tools for paraphrasing, tools for rewriting, tools for summarizing. And of course, we clustered them together. And I asked my students, why did you cluster them together like this? And for them, because the other one are usually, they would call them non-AI. Although, of course, actually in the real world, they use AI. But for my students, these are the non-AI tools. On the other side, you have the AI tools, the very obvious AI tools. So why are they using this? And how do they use these tools? So first, for the non-AI tools, that is the label given by my students, not my label. These are labels given by my students. So while indeed Google or other services are using AI, for my students, for them, they are not yet that kind of AI. So for them, they are using this for search, scholarly articles or definitions, to draft answers or come up with documents. And on the other hand, you have your AI. So for AI, you do the checking of your grammar. You want to do paraphrasing, especially if your writing is very mechanical, that if you pass it to turn it in will flag it as AI generated, when in fact, you actually wrote it. We have a lot of cases where our students would complain to me and they would ask me, teacher, why is it that the Turnitin said that I am 25% AI generated when I actually typed in all of those words, but I just sound like an AI. So oftentimes they want to paraphrase so that they will not sound like AI. And of course, part of that as well is to improve the flow of sentences, to generate references. If there's one thing that my students are really challenged in doing, is that because for them, it's too tedious, too detailed to make your own references in APA format. In the UP High School in Iloilo, we require all of our students from grade 7 until grade 12 that when they write, they have to come up with a reference list. And it's so tedious to make a reference list because there's a lot of formatting, a lot of spacing, a lot of these kinds of rules in making an APA reference list. And for them, they want to do a shortcut by using this kind of tools to generate their reference list. They also use this to evaluate or refine their answers. And oftentimes they are not sure about their answers. So they would ask an AI to check if their answers make sense or not. They also use this to summarize video content. Oftentimes, they would get supplementary explanation about certain topics or certain phenomena. For instance, there's a lot of experiments being done, and they are in video form, but the video is 1 hour or 2 hours. And what they do is that they use an YouTube summarizer to summarize the key points of the video. And also what they do is that they also use this to synthesize large bits of information. So when they go and search for information, the challenge is how to put them together because there's just a lot. So when you put a word in your search engine and there is actually thousands, if not millions of results for these kinds of words or for these kinds of terms. And so these are the kinds of tools. Again, the label is not from me. The label is from my students. And that's how they labeled it. And what is the implication for the use of these kinds of devices, of these kinds of tools? So what did we learn when we are studying our students' use of this? Let me share to you 3 things about what I have learned about my students. First is that my students are so afraid of making a mistake. So they are error averse. We call that word error averse. They are so afraid to make a mistake. They want everything to be perfect. They want everything to be accurate. So they are overthinking all the time. And because of that, they want to have quality work, but they are so afraid to have a mistake. For them, having one mistake is it's like the end of the world. So of course, we assure them that feedback is there, so we can revise our work and we were not trapped in the past. So currently, they are using a lot of these tools just to make sure that the work is perfect. And part of that is their intention for clarity and authenticity. Oftentimes, their answers would almost always have to be sourced or synthesized from scholarly sources. And of course, our students do not write or do not talk like professors or researchers. And because of that, when they try to put together stuff from different academic sources, it doesn't sound like them. And oftentimes it would be accused of plagiarizing or not paraphrasing correctly. And because of that, they want to have all that kind of authenticity. They want to capture the main idea, but they want to deliver it in a way that is not only reflecting of their analysis, but it would also be acceptable to the academic community. So, but it is something that they should own. It's not created by some faceless machine. And lastly, we realized that compared to our time when we were in high school or in elementary, where the internet is in its young age, it's so difficult to get information. You have to go to the library, go through the card catalog, and dig up for books. But now, all of the information that you need is in your fingertips, in the tip of your fingers. So before, there was scarce or limited information. So the main question before was, where do we get the information? Now, information is practically everywhere. So the question now that we have to navigate, that my students and learners are navigating in our laboratory schools all around the University of the Philippines system, all 4 campuses, is how to process, how to understand, how to evaluate. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it passable? And importantly, how to present, how to communicate the synthesized and chosen information to other people, to our teachers, to the readers of your research, to the panel that will approve your funding, etc. And so when we are trying to analyze this, we also ask them, so when is it when you use AI directly, and when is it when you do not use it directly? So for them, for example, they use the AI directly we could look at it based on its role in creating the student outputs. So for example, if for my students, you are using AI directly if it will generate the main answers. So for them, it is indirect if you just made your answers and you just ask AI to refine your answers. But that is based on the roles of how to create your outputs. And also the kind of input that you give. If you heavily rely on the tool for the inputs, so you just give prompts, that is indirect, that is direct use of AI. But if you're the user and you provide only primary content with the tool refining or assisting for secondary tasks, then that is indirect use of AI. For output dependence, oftentimes when you are so dependent on the AI or on the tools, then that is direct use of AI. But if the output is primarily the user's work with the tool just improving the presentation or its accuracy, for my students, it's indirect use. And for what are the academic implications of this? If you use AI directly, the chances of you violating certain ethical provisions on correct scholarship or correct ethical ways of doing research or citations could be put into question. And unless, of course, you disclose it. But if you disclose that, that will be a point against you as a student. And so sometimes they don't disclose it. And when their use of AI or direct use of AI has been discovered, it's a point against them. So it's a very difficult situation for them, for the students. But on the other hand, if the indirect use of AI is generally seen as okay by the teachers, so generally it is a legitimate support tool. It is like using a dictionary or a citation manager because you did not create, sort of a new way of talking about things generated by the machine. It is still your answer. You just ask AI to improve it for you. So a good example would that be from the current examples that my students have been doing is that for them, for example, using Chat GPT or Killbot to paraphrase entire sections, that is direct use of AI. But if you're just using Grammarly to check grammar or spelling or script to format your citations, it's indirect use of AI. So we came up with this table by trying to understand, by living with our students and understanding their thought process and their experiences when they are creating the papers that they share with us. And so, as teachers, how do we leverage this? How do we become better than technology if we are going to be the teachers? Well, one of the ways that we could do this is there are so many ways. And I'm so happy that the first two presenters were very generous in providing us with ways on how to navigate all of these different kinds of challenges. But let me share to you something that works for me. I use this from the idea of Dr. Philip Schlechte. Philip Schlechte is known for his work on engagement. And for him, there are 5 levels of engagement, and they comprise certain activities that we could use or misuse AI. For example, the last level in the lowest level is type 5. In this level of engagement is rebellion. And let me just point out that engagement has 2 ingredients, attention and commitment. There is no engagement without attention and without commitment. Good. So for rebellion, how do we use AI if we are in a rebellious stage? Oftentimes we use AI we are in the rebellious or lowest stage of engagement if you're using AI only for entertainment or for unauthorized and ethical purposes like plagiarism, or you want to steal the works of others. And that is, of course, type 5. For type 4, we have retreatism. So there's no attention and there's no commitment. So a good example with this that using AI for entertainment and doing activities that are unrelated or irrelevant. So not just entertainment, but also things that you're not supposed to do with AI. So that is an example of retreatism. So we have also ritual compliance. Here we have low attention and low commitment. Here we are often prone to what we call as the copy paste mentality. So we copy paste from AI without even editing the prelude. Sometimes you get essays that says, here are 5 possible ways that you could summarize this document. And of course, we know that that kind of answer is from an AI, but sometimes the students are just so lazy or ritually compliant. They just want to submit their work so that they will not be marked absent, that they are not even doing critical thinking anymore. So that is a kind of ritual compliance that we do with AI. Next level, one of the highest levels is, but not the ideal, is still strategic compliance. In strategic compliance, It's like, okay, I want to comply because I want to get good grades. I'm doing this for the grades. I'm not doing this to learn. I'm doing this so that I will get a good grade. So a good example of this is when you use prompt tactics to guide AI in making convincing outputs and then editing it to make it appear authentic or human. So you want to trick your teacher into thinking that, oh, you write really good essay and it's not made by AI. So that is strategic compliance. And last but the highest, and oftentimes this is the kind of engagement that we would really want to have in our classrooms, is the engagement with high attention and high commitment. So high attention to the task, and commitment to doing the task correctly. So for example, a good way of this is using AI to identify gaps in your current work. I've made an essay and I asked, for example, an AI to check, what do you think are the areas of the essay that I should work on? So that could be one approach. And another approach is I could do fact checking AI drafts. I could ask AI to make a draft. Then what I will do is that I will print out the document and I will fact check. I will fact check based on the things I've learned from the lesson and things that I have learned from my own readings or research. So usually we use this for the higher grades. But it doesn't mean that those in the lower grades are not capable of having a high attention, high commitment level, type 1 engagement. And so, again, how can teachers leverage this? By looking at how the kind of activities that we allow our students to do. For example, here in the rebellion phase, usually you just have diverted attention plus no commitment. So you just need for them to comply. So you give instructions like, find the story in your computer or mobile gadget. That's practically almost automatic. I think that's one of the things that will not engage your students. Another, for example, instructions like identify the nouns in the longest paragraph of the story. Oftentimes we find teachers, especially here in our country, who are using this. This is good, but there must be something else that we could do aside from just identifying the nouns. So another level how to improve this is that write a summary of the longest paragraph of the story. So this is getting higher in the engagement scale, but it will only generate low attention and low commitment. So how do we make it better? We make another activity. For example, we explain which paragraph of the story was the most important, which actually requires the students to analyze and to evaluate, to piece together the story and make judgments and make assessments about the story. And perhaps one of the highest levels is co-write an alternative ending for the story if the longest paragraph in the story was taken away. So what will happen if, let's say, the longest paragraph of the story is taken away? What will happen to the story? Now, I want you to work together with two or three people, and write an alternative ending. So this kind of task is a high attention, high commitment task. So I want to zero in on the first verb that I use for the engagement, on the authentic engagement, co-write. So when we co-write, we have to collaborate and work with each other. Oftentimes, AI forces us to work alone. In fact, a lot of the technologies assumes that we are working alone. But what we could do is to resist that design in AI and design activities where we use AI so that we can work together and check each other's work. And so, what are the challenges? The problem with AI is that it strengthens the already gamified approach that we do to learning. Oftentimes, we focus so much more on the grades, on our marks, rather than on learning. For us, the marks is learning, but no, that is just a reflection, an image of learning. It is not yet learning completely. So when we use AI irresponsibly, and our schools do not provide us with guidance. Our teachers do not provide us with guidance. It only pushes the narrative that AI can be used to game the system for the students to get good grades, but questionable quality of learning. And that is one of the challenges of AI that is unregulated and a kind of AI where you don't get feedback or you don't get guidance from your school or your teachers. And however, it also has opportunities. And I'd like to focus more on this, where it can liberate us or free us from the routine, which means that before, when we have to do calculations, we have to do calculations by hand. Then eventually we had a calculator. And because of that, math became more and more complex. The same thing with the kind of learning activities that we have. Because of AI, we should be freeing ourselves from the routine activities and focus more on activities that will require higher creativity, deeper collaborations that we are passionate about. So, in order to push this agenda forward, one of the things that we have to do as teachers, as schools, and as learning communities and as collaborators is to define our relationship with AI. I'm happy that our previous two speakers have expertly discussed how we should come up with strategies so that we will not be using or misusing AI, because it has a lot of potentials, but it also has a lot of dangers. And I'd like to echo one of the reactors and one of the discussions that said before that we should not trust AI 100%. If we could not trust people 100%, the same thing goes through with AI. So, how do we define the relationship? Currently, our relationship with AI around the world is still not set in stone, but we can remedy that. Currently, we are in what we call as a situationship. For the young people, I'm sure you are aware what a situationship is. So currently, it's something that I think the younger population is experiencing, a non-commitment commitment, something. So what happens if you are in a situationship? Chances are you are having toxic dependence. It's like every time that you need something, you just immediately go to that AI. And because of that, you are doing something that is not supposed to be done. So it leads to inconsistent behavior. And because of no guidance, no parameters, no policy, and no training, you are using AI irresponsibly, and because of that, there are no clear labels and no clear boundaries. So you're using, for example, AI in activities where you are not supposed to use AI. That's violation of boundaries, and because of that, what situationship also does is that you think that you can get away with it, but we know that everything has a consequence. So the problem with situationship is that you think that you can get away with it if you don't want the situationship anymore. So you try to evade the results or the responsibilities. But of course, every action has to have its consequences, and you have to be responsible for the things that you do. And so, how do we move from situationship, and what kind of status or relationship should we be going or pursuing? An assistantship. We treat AI as a competent assistant. But like an assistant, we have to train our assistant. We have to set the boundaries for our assistant. We must make sure that we are not dependent on our assistant for, just even the slightest, very trivial things. We can do things creatively on our own. So we have to do the creative things, let AI do the non-creative things. And because of that, our labels are clear. Because if we abuse AI, AI could either be our slave or it could become our master. And both of them are not ideal situations. And so, because of this, we have to be mindful that our use of AI will have results, intended or unintended. And how do we move forward to accept or build upon the results of our use of AI, hopefully with the responsible use of AI. And so, my challenge for you, fellow teachers and soon to be teachers, the in service teachers of UNESA, is to stop requiring activities or learning outputs that can now be easily made using AI. If you want a summary, don't require a summary anymore, because a summary can easily be done by AI. So, for example, instead of asking for a summary, what you could ask, for example, is that, okay, all students go to find an AI, ask it to make a summary, then come back to class, and we will analyze the summaries which one is a better summary, and how do we make or write a better summary. So something that AI could not do. Or maybe we could say which summary resonates with you personally as someone who may not lived in the country where the story happened. Especially that in the Philippines, a lot of our literature is written from an Anglophile, Anglophone point of view, from an English speaking point of view, instead of being written in the Philippine or local point of view. So my challenge as well is to start designing learning activities where the use of AI requires our students to think critically, creatively, and deliberately choose and collaborate. So we have a lot of letter C's here: critical thinking, creative thinking, do a lot of choosing, because making choices entails a lot of deliberate thinking. And very importantly, collaborate, because AI is supposed to be designed for individual use. But we are in Southeast Asia. We are Southeast Asians. We are not just individuals. Our strength comes from a sense of community, from a sense of care that we give to people we haven't even met. For sure, for example, I know you are living in Jawa Timur, Eastern Java. Some of you may not have met people from Kalimantan or from Sumatra, but because you are one nation, united in diversity, you care for them. And therefore, you feel that your actions will always have consequences for them. And also, we continue learning the dynamics, relationships, and atmosphere of our classrooms and schools. Because as teachers, our main platform is our classroom, but it is also our main source of research ideas and our source of data. And as professional practitioners of education, part of the things that we need to do is to put on our research hat when we are teaching and try to ask, what data can I get from my classroom so that I can improve my teaching practice? And so, jumping off from the invitation of our previous speakers, I'd like to end with this quote: "We are bound only by the limits of our imaginations." But I'd like to make a correction with that, because I just copied that online. But because we are in Southeast Asia and we are bound by community and by a shared sense of friendship, I'd like to change that to kindness. So, fellow ASEAN teachers, we are only bound by the limits of our kindness, and let our kindness resonate beyond Surabaya, beyond Jawa Timur, beyond Indonesia, and to embrace all other peoples with the spirit of learning, in the spirit of empathy, in the spirit of innovation. And with that, I say thank you so much. Maraming salamat sa inyong tanan. Madamo gid nga salamat. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, DJ. Maraming salamat. Terima kasih. It's very nice and wonderful, valuable insights and share of knowledge. So we'll jump to the Q&A session. So for all the participants, you can prepare questions. You can ask directly. You may raise your hand, or you can type your questions in the chat box. While you are preparing for your questions, I would like to make a short conclusion of what Brother DJ has shared in the last 30 minutes. So you start your presentation today by the REA, Rapid Ethnographic Assessment into the students' use of online tools. And meanwhile, you also introduce the students' online tools in AI and non-AI tools. And also, you also introduced the direct use and indirect use of the AI. The direct use is for example, the ChatGPT and the Quillbot, or also the indirect use, for example, Grammar and Scriber. For me, myself, I think I use both. I use the AI both directly and indirectly. But what makes me interested today is when you introduce the 5 levels of the students' engagement, and thank you very much for that amazing and wonderful share of knowledge. When you start with the lowest level of rebellion, and also retreatism, and also ritual compliance, I think that's what we did mostly. We copy and paste without even editing, and that's our mistake. We need to learn from that. And also, we go into higher attention and higher commitment into the strategic compliance and also the engagement. And also it's very interesting when you show us the table relate the 5 levels of students' engagement into the Bloom taxonomy, into the 6th level of Bloom taxonomy. I think that's wonderful how that students' engagement can relate to the Bloom taxonomy. And finally, you close this amazing presentation with the relationship that right now we are in the situation shift and we need to move into assistantship where there's no slave and there's no master. I think that's what I can conclude from you, DJ. Again, I learn a lot from you every time. I mean, every time we meet and we talk, yes, you always share a lot of knowledges. And guys, all participants, I think we have reached the Q&A session, so you may ask. Operator, may you show me the chat box? Perhaps there are some questions in the chat box.
Okay. Mas, can I just read the question and respond directly?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So please correct me if I mispronounce your name. Sifa.
Sifa.
Okay. So I'm very interested with rapid ethnography assessment because ethnographic is naturally qualitative, while assessment is more quantitative. How do you integrate those methods and how to analyze it comprehensively? So thank you very much for this very insightful question. Perhaps something that we actually would try to do as well in our own classroom is to gather both quantitative and qualitative activities or qualitative data. So usually what we do is that we analyze first the quantitative aspects, and we try to do thematic analysis about what can we really observe. Then later on, we look into the main themes that we have gathered, and we try to see how frequent are they being manifested in the class. Currently, in our project, we are still within the qualitative phase. So we are still in the process of refining the themes. In fact, we have to go back to certain codes because the more that we gather more interviews with the students, the more that we analyze their editing histories. Because in Google Documents, you can analyze the editing histories of the students, and you can see there sometimes the confusion, the changing of the mind, the sometimes the changing of the subject altogether. And I think it reveals to us not only the strategies used by our students, but also the emotional and mental state that our students experience when they are writing or trying to come up with their idea. So currently, the rapid ethnographic assessment is something that we would like to do as more qualitative, but we are still in the beginning stages of this project. Because I am in a laboratory high school of our university, we are part of our work is to study and create data out of the innovations that we do in the classroom. So it's like an ongoing action research all the time. So how do you integrate those methods? Currently, we are using the protocol by Creswell. So you could either begin with a qualitative first and quantitative next. But oftentimes, in many of the practices, if you are still not very confident about how well you can distill the themes from your analysis, you can begin with quantitative first and qualitative next. So there are very useful hints in Creswell's book on how to put them together. Usually, when we want to look at generalizable data, we just use quantitative. But if we want to understand the feelings, the emotions that our students are experiencing when they are going through the motions and the emotions of writing papers, gathering data, it gives us a very good insight as to how else can we design instruction and learning activities that will not only provide our students with meaningful engagement, but will also make them feel that the output that they created is not just because they have to pass the subject or the course or get a grade, but because they generally want to learn. So that's the general approach that we have. I hope I answered your question, but if you're not yet satisfied with that, I can leave my email with Brother Ricky. He can share it with you, so you can connect with me through email. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Thank
brother,
you
go ahead,
for
please.
your answers. I hope that it answers the questions. And I know that you are more of a qualitative person than
Yeah.
a quantitative person, but it's nice for you to introduce the thematic analysis procedures by the Brown and Clark. I think
Yes.
it's one of procedure we did in our previous
Yes.
papers in 2018.
We
It's
wrote a paper about that, and we used
about Indonesian
the
Muslims
thematic analysis, right?
Islam in Taiwanese University. Yeah.
True, true.
I also
Yeah.
learned
Right,
a lot
right.
from you about that. Okay, we have the second questions here from Eka. Operator, may you show the chat box, please? Okay, so how can we prevent AI addiction for our students, especially when we don't watch them every time, because this can almost always happens in Indonesia.
Oh, yeah. In my country too. So usually what we do is that we could either have their parents supervise them, or what we do is that we normalize the use of certain AI, not all AI. Some AIs in our university are banned. They are not allowed. But what we do is that the university, we have chosen certain AIs which we think that will not be abused by the students. And where we only allow them to use them during class or during authorized periods. So again, it goes back to the policy of the university or the policy of the school. If the teacher or the school does not lay out the policy on when to use AI, how to use AI, and what are the parameters to determine if you have used AI correctly or not, then it is prone to abuse. So there must be already regulations. I know that AI is changing very fast, and that is why even for us in education, we have to be fast. I think the word that they are using in the tech world, in the technology world, is agile. We have to be agile, AGILE. So we must be able to change gears as soon as possible. So that's part of the tricky design of curriculum administration and curriculum design, and of course of instruction and assessment. Uh, do we have the answers now? I don't think so. The reason why we are conducting these kinds of research in our university as well is that because there's so much about AI and how our relationship with AI now gets complicated that we do not yet understand. So that's the reason why we begin with these kinds of experiments and these kinds of activities. Sometimes we call it natural experiments in our school. So we look at how policy or the lack of policy would create certain behaviors from our students. So that's why, for instance, I don't require essays anymore that can be done by AI. Rather, I want them to put on a researcher hat or an analyst hat, and I want them to scour through the different essays and come up with a much better essays after evaluating and after synthesizing all of that. So again, to summarize, addiction may be prevented by having really good policy, by having a policy that reflects the reality in the field and in the classroom, a policy that listens to the experiences and emotions, perhaps, or feelings of both teachers and learners, and of course, parents, and maybe engaging as well with tech companies and with the industry, and to finally looking at how can we make a policy that does not only work in the classroom, but will teach our students to still use that policy or still use that procedure, even if they are not anymore in the classroom. So, how can it be habit building? How could it be habit forming? Because character is what we do when no one is looking. But at school, everything is practically assessed. But what is, I think, the measure of really good education is that I do the good even if no one is looking at me, or no, even if I'm not being graded. And I think that's part of the kind of character that we want students to have. I think both in Indonesia and in the Philippines. I'd like to believe. What do you think, brother?
Yeah, thank you, DJ. I do agree with you that policy plays a very important role here. It's the policy from the universities, institution, and also the teachers. And I also do believe that the policy from the countries as well. I just came back
Yeah.
from China last month, and I do believe that there are a lot of AIs banned there because of the policy from the
Yes.
countries. And I also do agree that we don't only assess the cognitive of the students, but also we assess the affective and the psychomotoric. That's why you connect it with and you relate it with the character
True,
itself.
true. And
Yeah.
also, brother, it's not just the students that needs to be educated about AI, but also the teachers. So even myself, I'm already in my mid career, past my mid career, and yet I still want to learn more about AI. But the thing is that I'm learning AI together with my students, and it's an ongoing conversation, a very difficult conversation actually. So that's why we have to be open with that as well. And the good thing about universities like UNESA, because you have a laboratory high school, right, or a laboratory school. So this could be something that can be done there because we are trying to do that in our own laboratory high school as well, and our own laboratory school. So it's a good opportunity for both internal and external assessment of how we do teaching and education with AI. So thank you so much for these very insightful questions. I really appreciate them. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, DJ. And hopefully, by your insight, from your insight, we can use AI more wisely in the future. So, before we close this last session, we would like to give you a token of appreciation by giving you the A certificate. Operator, please show the certificate to our keynote speakers. Yes, so this is the certificate of appreciation signed by our Dean of Faculty of Education, proudly presented to you as our keynote speakers. So we'll take the documentation in 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much one more time, DJ. Maraming salamat. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Sama-sama.
I wish that I can meet you again. We can meet again in the next opportunities. Okay, so I will give this back to the MC to close today's international webinar. Thank you, everybody. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much to Mr. Don John. It's such a incredible and wonderful, inspiring insights. It summarized all of the session, and also to Mr. Ricky Setiawan. Thank you to lead this last session. For everyone here, to the participants, we have shared the attendance, the list of the attendance on the chat box, so you can check. And then what else? Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the webinar. Now we have learned how artificial intelligence is no longer just a futuristic concept. It's not about us versus AI, but it is about us with the AI. It is now a practical tool that can enhance student engagement, provide personalized learning experiences, and improve efficiency in educational delivery. It is now our shared responsibility to embrace this innovation thoughtfully and ethically, of course, for the advancement of education. Thank you so much for all of the keynote speakers, to all of the speakers, to all of the participants around the world, and to all of who support this event. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at PGSD.UNESA and visit our website for more updates. Me, Delvia, sign off, and thank you. Stay healthy and see you in our next event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baru Pilus Fried Chicken. tools to meet our need. But still, it's us who steer the way. Together, we learn every day. AI and me, we're flying high, learning fast. The limit's the sky. Side by side, we break the mold. A smarter world begins to unfold. Once it was books, now it's code to read. Faster tools to meet our need. But still, it's us who steer the way. Together, we learn every day.